Same here.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to, what was this, the 12th session? Yes. I had to look it up before earlier. I thought we were on like 14, and apparently we're on like 12, so I miscounted somewhere. Um, like I seemed
Heresy.
I seem to have had it correct last week, but just this week for some reason I thought we were further. In either case, it's not important right now. So yeah, this is session 12 of Curse of the Abyssal Brands. As you all can do your usual intros.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, guys, gals, non-binary pals and listeners of all whatevers. Once again, this is Gunner, and depending on what we're doing today, it'll be Leica or Donovan.
Mm-hmm.
Hey everyone, it's Cat5 Gaming, aka Katreo. And as usual, playing Kona, the Null Thaumaturge.
Hello, everyone. It's Cryos here, and once again, I'll be playing Cal, the Lizard Folk Gunslinger. And it cost 12,000 gold to fire my weapon for 10 seconds.
You're not firing that.
I'll fire you.
But I'm your boss. You work for me.
I can still stuff you in a cannon and light the fuse.
You do that, you're gonna have a tree dragon on your ass.
I'll shove that tree up your ass.
Don't threaten me with a good time, boy.
Freaking. Alright. But yeah, I am Serene, the one working on this campaign. Getting it set up, ready to go, all that. Whatnot. Let's see. I believe last week you all made your way into a cavern that had an orrery inside. You examined the orrery and then discovered its guardian, which was a massive, horrific monster that you killed. And then it promptly exploded. You all just kind of narrowly made it out of the cave before it crumbled behind you. In your journey, you discovered a girl trapped in a crystal, known as Rin. And she basically told you what the creature was, a glass goblin. And that
Pathfinder's version of a creeper.
and that it is like very dangerous, very deadly, and it can do lots of nasty things. If you hadn't, killed it and had stuck around for any longer than you did.
Yep.
she did inform you a little bit of the world, as she knew it back long ago. How long exactly you're not sure. She did mention the war. Of course, there are many, many wars in Versame's history. So exactly which of those wars she's referring to is another question. Because there isn't any wars that are labeled as just the war. It's kind of generally known though that for the most part the major wars usually end up with the title of the war during the war period, but then history goes back and changes the name later.
Kind of like how World War One was the war to end all wars, and what happens next?
World War II. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know that. I think it's in Britain. It was called the Great War for a while, and then World War II happened.
Yeah. Wars aren't very great though. So
yeah, they're not.
They kind of suck.
What is
Great
it?
in scale, not great in content.
Right.
Wars not make one great.
What is that, big one? Yes.
War does not make great content.
What is it good for? Absolutely
Absolutely
nothing.
Nothing. Say it again.
Say it again.
Whoa. Huh, good God, yeah.
So
friend to the Undertaker.
So after your group has a chance to, rest up from the major conflict that you just went through, I'm assuming that you're, continuing your way along, towards Kasan.
That is the goal, I think.
That would be the goal, indeed.
Well,
We can always change the goal to go to the grocery store and grab some Rice Krispie treats, some Oreos, and some Ding Dongs.
Mm-hmm.
What about some cream puffs or Twinkies?
well, Skorkon needs 8 more days to create his other 2 batches, because it was at the end of that session, right? At the end or the beginning, that he created his first one. His first batch.
I think it was the beginning because you had all of the stuff when you went into the cave, so.
Right.
But yeah, it's already been 3 or 4 days just having left Agridia, and you've still got a long way to get to Kasan itself. Especially since you're going to be passing into the Viridian Weald. Speaking of which, if anybody wants to roll a nature check on the Viridian Weald.
Nature. I hate nature. I shoot nature.
just as a recall knowledge, history type, recall history and stuff about it kind of thing.
Wrong character.
Whoops, that was Shrody. There we go.
Right character, worst roll.
Well, the right character, worst roll.
Well, that's just how it happens.
Yep.
Cal
has a +1 in nature. Shrody has a plus something, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I did kind of yeetus it after, since it wasn't necessarily needed. Scarcron getting a 16.
Sweet, sweet,
That was a
sweet.
straight roll.
Yep. Looks like Shrody has a plus 12 in nature.
Huh.
So
Well,
you rolled
the
really
elements
low
are
on
part of nature,
Shrody.
so
You must have rolled a low number on Shrody in order to get an 11 on a nature check. Or like maybe it was 13. I don't remember. But yeah, whatever it was low. I mean, Kel's 9 was lower, but still.
Let's see. I'm gonna start crafting another batch of
Okay.
healing potions.
Yeah.
Cook up the good stuff. Cook up the blue stuff, please.
Well, first, could you do the daily wipe thing, because Scarcon has the daily preparation stuff, the potions that run out after a day, or the elixirs that run out after a day.
There we go. Infused
did I ever do
reagents
that?
restored.
But
Did that
it's it's also the what's it called?
There we go.
The potions that use his reagents.
Right.
The elixirs.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just hitting rest for the night on all of the characters. So hopefully that's resetting anything that needs to be reset. If not, then I have no idea what else to do.
There's not a force everyone to rest for a day
I mean,
button on the GM side,
mm,
like a new day button.
not.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, no, there's no like force rest or anything. But I went into each token and clicked the rest for the night, which should do all of that, like daily reset stuff. So if you're still if something still didn't like reset, then I guess you can always look, because it says that Squarcon was rested. Infused reagents were restored. All spell slots restored. Kona lost temp items and spell slots restored.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, temporary items removed. Yeah, that's right. Because a lot of healing stuffs.
Right. Yeah, you have your. I know that you had given out some like temporary items. It looks like Kona was the only one that had any. Because
I had one. I got rid of it.
Okay. Yeah, because Kona was the only one that had any temporary items that were removed. Don had apparently, excuse me, Don had apparently already been reset because he didn't. Nothing happened on his side.
Oh, alrighty.
Might need to just have, because I am looking for an extra range. I might just have Don just start stacking up on daggers until he can get a returning weapon.
Right.
Well,
get a boomerang.
a return rune anyway.
Right.
Boomerang.
Elixirs of life are in the consumables for the party stores if people want to just divvy that up.
Coolies.
Cool. While we're in the downtime, Cal would like to make some big ammo.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just do my crafting off to the side. Don't worry.
Is there a craft? I forget.
I assume it would just be a crafting check.
Yeah, it's just crafting, and you have to. I think that succeeds.
Yeah.
But
27.
38 and 27.
you have to look up the what you have to look up how much how much gold your ammo costs to craft.
Right.
And why are you crafting any? You have plenty.
Big bullets.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I
when
need
he
big
enlarges,
bullets.
he needs the big bullets. So,
Price is 12 silver pieces
yes.
to buy.
Well, it's not to buy. It's if it's the if it's the pieces, it like that's just to craft. It costs that much.
Okay, so
Of
if I rolled a 27, how many magazines would that make? DM, help me, I'm drowning.
Yeah, I have
my-
not a clue.
what are you trying to do?
I'm making more magazines. I'm making the big magazines.
Okay. So is your ammo per like magazine or is it
Yes.
like
There is
just
no individual bullet. It's only
Okay.
magazine with 8 pellets.
okay? It's going to be 12 silver to craft. And is it what item level is it? If it doesn't list a level, it's level 0.
Level 0, because I don't see it. Yeah, level 0.
Okay.
It just
And
says level 0.
then what's the DC for crafting level 0?
Crafting level 0 is. I'm guessing it's pretty low.
Yeah.
I imagine a 27 beats it. I'm struggling
DC
to immediately
14.
find. I mean, if
DC
it's
14?
yeah, if it's level based DC, it would be 14.
Okay.
Because the DC depends on the item level.
Right.
See,
So
with
how
a
many-
38, I think Scarcon succeeds his.
And how many magazines do I make?
Well, I'm
That's the question.
not too sure.
Crafting.
Let's see.
Um. 2 weeks downtime.
Create prototype.
Item price.
Let's see. You can craft items with the consumable trait in batches, making up to 4 of the same item at once with a single check. This requires you to include the raw materials for all the items in batch to the start, and you must complete the batch all at once. You can also craft non-magical ammunition in batches using the quantity listed in the ranged weapons table, typically 10.
10. Okay.
So 10 magazines.
I was gonna say, is the 10 gonna be actual magazines, or is the 10 gonna be like
I think
the
that's
bullets
the
that then go
rounds.
into the?
I think it's the
magazines.
bullets that go into
is
the
it the rounds?
magazines. Check the ranged weapons table. That's because it might say batches of however many your magazine holds.
I don't know. I can't even find like the basic stuff. Also craft ambassadors using the quantity. Also craft non-magical ammunition batches using the quantity listed in the ranged weapons table. And the ranged weapons table suggests
ammunition.
like this kind of stuff always just seems so overly like technical that to me it just seems like you just you could just say you did it and you did it but then Pathfinder, like, don't get me wrong, I like that Pathfinder has rules for everything and is like aware that it's good that it has rules for everything, but at the same time it seems almost like they sat down and were like, well, we need rules for everything. And it's like, this is like they could just they could do something simple and just a simple rule or something, and then it seems like instead they make it super complex. Let's see, use an 8-round magazine. It's like, why does it take 4 days of crafting even? I would have just figured it like 1 day would be all you'd need for like basic crafting. Apparently it's 4 days and then
I don't know. I'm half tempted to just like give up and just
say a batch of 4 magazines.
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna take 4 days, like,
1 magazine per day.
yeah,
Pretty much. That's how I view Scarcon's.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
make it easier on all of us.
yeah.
Okay.
It's just it just feels like it's getting too technical to try and sit down and find, because it's in there somewhere because this is Pathfinder, but like I kind of don't care. It's one of when we were playing D&D, like I never even worried about ammunition unless
right.
It was like, oh, this is magical ammunition, which then you concern yourself with, but it's like, I don't know, you give yourself 20 arrows and then you just have arrows because frick,
And it's assumed that like anybody you kill that has arrows on them, you're probably taking their arrows. It's
right.
Yeah.
And it just gets too complex.
It does.
And
like I
slows
thought,
the game down.
playing something with a gun would be kind of fun, but I mean,
Right.
it is, but this technical side is just kind of aggravating.
Right. And that's kind of how I feel a bit too, so but yeah, I'll just say, I mean, you got a 27, so you succeeded either way.
Right. I need to.
But if you're,
12
if you
I need
really are
48
spending
silver.
4 days crafting, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to craft a lot, because
Right.
I mean, maybe I also don't understand, the crafting of ammunition and, armor and stuff like that. Maybe it does take forever to do in real life for a small amount. But it just seems like if in real life you were crafting, one person was crafting for 4 days and all you got was 8 ammunition, I feel like that would be people wouldn't use that weapon. They would use something else. So I don't know. I guess I look at it in the same way as World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV. Like, FF14 doesn't make you keep track of your ammo for Machinist or Gunbreaker.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. World of Warcraft.
Technically, Gunbreaker you can because you generate cartridges yourself.
Right. But also the idea is if you look at the Shadowbringers opening, one cartridge is Thancred stuffing, 6 bullets in and firing them off all at once. So
that is true.
It's like, it's like, and again, World of Warcraft, one of the things that they got rid of because it was just too painful was going through and dealing with hunters where you had to have ammunition, and then it was like, so now you had to have an entire bag for a quiver for ammunition. And I was just like, modern games just don't worry about that because it's just it's more pain than it's worth.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that's kind of how I view D&D and stuff like that. And I grew up, I should note, I grew up playing advanced D&D first edition, and I grew up with tracking your ammunition and things like that all the time. But again, as Kat said, you get into an encounter with goblins or something that have arrows, you're going to take those arrows,
Yeah.
Unless for some odd reason, you're carrying 150 arrows and you use them all up all in one encounter somehow. I just don't feel like keeping track of ammunition is something that benefits the game. I always feel like it slows the game down. It makes things more painful. A player always has to be like, well, it's time for us to, halt the game for 5 minutes while I sit here and buy ammunition.
Right.
The funny thing is, Pathfinder 2 and 5e both do long-ass crafting things. It's just they do it on different things.
Right.
You as an alchemist, they can just churn out a healing potion in this one, but it takes days in 5e. But here you have to spend days making ammo, whereas in 5e they're just like, hey, here's some ammo, you made it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Oh yeah.
They both have these ridiculous crafting times on completely different things.
Right.
And I'm not even making magical ammunition. It's just a bullet.
Yeah.
In
It's just bigger.
Pathfinder, the crafting rules are unified. It takes 4 days, no matter what you're crafting, but depending on what the item is,
right. Yeah, I mean, Skrarkon can instant make a potion through quick alchemy, but it only lasts for 1 round,
And
Otherwise,
daily prep, I can make daily healing or daily elixirs of life.
Right.
And then I can long-term craft.
Right.
non-quick alchemy or
Right.
Of course, this is
item.
the benefit of having an alchemist class.
Yeah.
Hell, just an alchemy feat. Like,
There is.
come on, 5e.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant specifically like there's no option for that in 5e because they don't want you crafting anything apparently. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, they don't even have like crafting magic items. You can only buy them, and then you can only buy them in 5e, but they don't give you any rules for it. It's just like, here, you might find a random magic item, and it's probably worth something. It's like, really?
They claim they're gonna have that solved in the one D&D DMG, but I'm like doing the Fry narrow-eyed stare at them, like I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. Unless they give us like a rune system, an enchanting system, magic items are worth X amount based off of these factors. Like, they're not gonna fix it unless they do that. So
Yeah, I expect nothing less than a full system. Like,
yeah,
here's how much everything costs. Here's how you craft it. Here's the time. Blah 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 blah.
right. And Pathfinder has that, which is great. If you wanted to get a +1 striking frosting weapon, you have to get a +1. You have to get a striking. You have to, and each of those costs a certain amount of money, but then that comes together to be how much the weapon is worth in the end. In 5th edition D&D, it's like, here's a +1 weapon. Okay, how much is a +1 weapon worth? I don't know. Somewhere between
GM.
1 and 500 gold, I guess. Okay, but why?
Speaking of, whenever we get to town, we're going to sell one of these great swords, right?
I would say definitely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I assume at least one, if not both. So, because you do have the 2 +1 fearsome adamantine greatswords. So,
I mean, Cal could take the Medal of One and use it and turn it into a bayonet for his... But,
right.
Are you over encumbered at all?
No. Why would Cal be over?
It says you have 9 bulk on your character.
Oh, no, he's fine. His maximum bulk is 14.
Encumbered is half.
Yeah, encumbered is 9.
Oh, yeah, he is. Okay. Let me fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm encumbered at 8, but I currently only have 4.
Mm-hmm.
Sharkon's encumbered at 6. He's been writing the line.
Yeah.
Okay, I am now bulk 7. I'm fine.
Yay, bulk 7.
5.1.
Apparently large ammo weighs quite a bit.
I
No surprise
suppose that
there.
makes sense. Alright. Let's see. So, like,
Sorry
20
about
minutes
that entire
ago.
tangent.
Like, 20
That
minutes
was
ago.
my fault because I wanted to craft some ammo.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, 20 minutes ago, people did nature checks. Let's see. So, what you know about the Viridian Wield is, well, first off, it is in fact a massive forest. The term wield means a heavily wooded area or forest, or a wild or uncultivated, usually upland region.
So we're going to Viridian Forest. Watch out for those Pikachus.
The Viridian Weald is a special forest. You might recall that in the previous campaign, there was an area known as the Quivering Forest, which was this giant forest that had been magically planted by elves. And, like, acres of trees would grow in, like, a year's time. Oh yeah, Cryos might not have been there for that when I did that explanation.
Gotta love magical forests.
Well, the Viridian Weald does not grow perhaps as quickly, though it is a magical forest of some kind. Druids and others, other nature element based, people, often talk about the Viridian Weald being a place where there are plenty of elemental spirits that live throughout. The city of Kasan, specifically, once attempted to settle, some people attempted to settle in the Viridian Weald, and the elements would not have this. They fought regularly with the elements, got into big spats, until one day, a man appeared calling himself a hearer. The hearer was supposedly able to hear and speak with the elements, and was able to relay the people's desire to the elements in a peaceful manner. Kasan soon sprouted from in the middle there of the Viridian Weald. Before the people of Kasan, however, there was said to be a powerful empire. Nobody knows their name or who they were or anything. Just that they created this vast city. And when their people were wiped out, it was almost as if the Viridian Weald grew in over top of them, as if to, wipe them from existence. Prior to that, there wasn't even a forest here. But legends claim that as soon as that empire was, defeated, the Viridian Weald just sprouted out of nowhere and covered the whole land. There have been many people who have attempted to settle within the forest. One of note is a very powerful dragon attempted to settle in the forest. Stories are unsure what kind he was, but the general consensus is that he was a blue dragon. The stories go that he fought with the elements constantly, attempting to make a home for himself within the forest, whereas the forest itself refused to allow him to create his lair. It said that one day the dragon died. Nobody knows how or why, but that where he died, the land blighted. And that land of blight has become known as atrophy, right down here. It said that anybody who goes into atrophy does not return. Many suspect that they die. Others suspect that they become undead. Nobody is fully sure because nobody who's gone has returned. But
Does somebody dare me to go in there?
Not without help from us.
right. But considering that Spectre Ridge is said to be where a lich lives, and just outside of Atrophy is the Sunless Quagmire, which is a very large marsh full of undead. It's enough to make people, tell stories of undead that roam Atrophy.
It's not hard to see why.
Not really, no. There's definitely many reasons why they could. Your party spends a few days traveling along the road until you reach the entrance to the path that leads into the Viridian Weald. Interestingly enough, it's almost as if the forest itself kind of grew around the path. Usually paths in forests are like, people chop down the trees and things as they go along and they create a path. But here it's almost like the forest knew where to create a path. And so then it just grew up and around and created just this one not straight, but this one path that leads all the way to Kasan. The forest is very tall. Just stepping a few steps into the forest, you can start to see that a lot of the trees go up high enough and crowd enough up at the top that you get a lot of shade underneath the trees. I wouldn't say that it's dark or even dim light, but it's still you're not. The sun's not shining brightly down on top of you like it was before.
Thick canopy.
Yeah, a canopy above you kind of thing. You have only you have only taken a few steps into the I don't actually know how to show this without it being an actor, so let me just quick create a... Did I not download? I feel like I should have the... I made the token. Hang on. Again, let me go back to Hero Forge. Because, I made this token. And I know I even showed it off a couple of times in the DM group. But somehow I don't seem to have it downloaded. Actually, can I just go to the DM corner and find it? It was months ago when I posted this. Yeah, here it is. I don't know why I don't have this, like, downloaded. That's so weird. That is so very strange that I wouldn't have this downloaded. Okay. Now I have it downloaded. So now I
Yay.
can add it. To here. And so you've wandered maybe I would say half a mile into the forest at this point when you see this out of the corner of your eye. This strange
Oh,
purple horse looking thing with wings and horns.
is that natural?
Oh, we're in Colorado.
Thought we were in Jersey.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have like a token for that anyway. So
Jersey's got the
I'll
best
worry about
pizza.
that later.
No, we're at Denver International. Don't you know?
That's why I smell. That's why I smell all the weed.
I think Kona's gonna try and figure out what the heck that thing is.
Okay. Well, you can do
Does it eat people?
nature, or since it does look to be on the magical side, you could either try arcana or occultism.
Well, since it's a creature, can I do esoteric lore?
Probably, yeah. That would probably work fine.
Would I be able to use my anatomy lore?
Yeah, you could give that a try.
Okay.
I imagine that you must have some knowledge of other racial anatomy in order to be able to work on non-humanoid creatures, you know?
Yeah. And some things are just universal.
Right. Some
Yeah,
of these are
and
just
it would
universal.
kind of suck if you had a doctor and was like, "Well, I can't do anything for you."
Yep. Sorry, I don't
I
know
didn't
how
go to
to
medical
handle
school for
cat
this.
people, so I'm not
Say again?
trained. I'm not trained for cat people, so I can't help you.
I am a cat person, though. Well, Don is, anyway.
Right. That was kind of why I like randomly, so like that, you know, Don being the first like non-real humanoid, like humanoid still, but like, you know, like an animal, you know. Sorry, I don't know how to
the
handle
first one himself
dragons.
is a rat.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
so
Micah's
like
also
it,
a lizard.
you know, Cal. Yeah.
And Cal.
Yeah,
Right.
Cal, you have to take to a special place because most veterinarians don't do lizards.
Mm-hmm. Truth.
Miles
True.
Fargon does.
All right. Let's see. Let's see. So,
I imagine would get more out of this stuff.
yeah, Skrarkon, what I can tell you is that while it does have the body of a horse, you can tell pretty quickly that it is not a physical creature. It looks ethereal.
Oh, well, I am out of my depth with that.
So, there's only so much that you can garner from that. As far as Kona, you know that there are spirits. As I was saying earlier, there are elemental like spirits that live within the Viridian Weald. And unlike, and this is gonna be interesting. Unlike elementals, which are an element given, an element given form. There are also these sort of, they're not elementals, but they're spirits that take on elemental properties, like earth spirits and fire spirits and things like that. So they're not elementals, but they're spirits with elemental properties, and generally, to describe them, you say elemental spirits, which sounds weird because elementals don't have spirits, but the idea is that they're spirits that are elemental. So,
would that technically qualify the Weald as a haunt?
I mean, yes and no.
It has these spirits possessing it.
Yeah, yes and no. Because it does have spirits possessing it. So I suppose you could kind of view it as, classified as a haunt. I don't know. I didn't really think too much about that prior. Let's see. What does Pathfinder classify as a haunt? I think this is the first edition rules, but it should be close enough. See, this just gives you a bunch of like rules about like it doesn't describe a haunt as much as it says like, hey, here's the effects of a haunt.
Right.
Classic Pathfinder. They kind of just like expect you to understand like the general idea of a haunt.
They have a description here, and it sounds pretty much what you'd expect. A hazard with this trait has a spiritual echo. It says often of someone with a tragic death, but it could be anything spiritual, I guess.
Right.
Talking about putting a haunt to rest. Yeah, they don't say much. It's like one line.
Yeah.
It's just, this is a thing with a spiritual echo.
Yeah. That's about it. They have more. Funny enough, they have more in the first edition version. As soon as I can get that loaded back up. Because the first edition version states, And then let's see, when you it's a hazardous region created by unquiet spirits that react violently to the presence of the living, which is not completely the case here. Haunts usually arise from a source of terrific mental or physical anguish endured by living, tormented creatures. A single source of suffering can create multiple haunts, or multiple sources could consolidate into a single haunt. The relative power of the source has little bearing on the strength of the haunt, the magnitude of the suffering or despair that created the haunt that decides its power. But yeah, it seems like Pathfinder's view on haunts are that they're like malevolent and like evil. But that's not really the case here. That they are spirits, but they're not like created. They're not anti-living. They're not.
Well,
You
it
know.
could all be perspective.
Well, I
True.
think maybe that's why second edition's description is more vague and short.
Right.
It's just a place with a spiritual echo.
Yeah. So I guess I guess you could technically call it a haunt. I hadn't considered it, but I don't see any reason why it couldn't be, because they are, again, spirits. So they're just aligned towards nature and elements, as opposed to being aligned towards undeath and death and that sort of,
Yeah. I'm just surprised to find something so, like, kind of narratively vague in Pathfinder 2.
Yeah,
Considering how specific this game is about everything.
right.
There's some things that the game lets the DM interpret, and there's some that is supposed to be run with specific rules.
Yeah.
I think because this deals with terrain, it's more vague. Because, it's GM's discretion.
Right. That's possible.
I guess they just wanted to leave it open to, like, different tropes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's a possessed tree. Like, oh, here's a haunted
Or-
house. Like, here's all
or,
these things that you're familiar
here's-
with. You know?
Right.
But there are, like, I think it is because different tropes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even in, like, different religions, there's, quote, haunted areas that are benevolent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So.
Even if it's typically not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why they made it sound a bit more neutral.
Sound a bit more neutral. Possible.
Different perspectives.
Yeah, different perspectives. Well, what matters in this regard is that the creature that you are looking at, you are pretty certain is some sort of spirit. It is definitely ethereal. You don't even have to, like, get close to it to know it's ethereal, because it's,
Right.
like, partially transparent and glowing and all.
It's only like half here.
Yeah. Now, you would be aware of what is known as magical color theory, but basically, when you cast detect magic, the way that you see what kind of magic something is usually by color. Divine magic usually has some sort of a golden, holy looking glow. Arcane magic usually has this bluish, teal kind of color. Primal magic generally has a greenish color. Meanwhile, Eldritch, or as it's referred to in Pathfinder, occult magic generally has a purple tint to it.
Elder's horse.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting more tentacles.
It's very interesting.
Well,
It,
it has the freaky red eyes, so
It do have red eyes.
My dog's related to bastard.
It does have freaky red eyes. It has big, like, wings on its back. It has like a mess of horns that have just like seemingly grown out of like the front of its head.
Could Kona make any guess as to whether it is hostile or not?
Let's see. My answer to that is, while it is looking at you, like your group having stopped has definitely caught its attention. It's not making any moves toward you, but it's also not making any moves away from you. Whether that means that it's biding its time to jump on you when you get close, or whether it's simply keeping an eye, you're not sure.
I don't think it's hostile, but we should probably be cautious.
Probably. And with it being purple like that, I have no idea how my weapon would affect it. If it would affect it at all.
well, I have no idea. Out of my depth here. See, I say, as long as it doesn't charge us, we just keep going.
That does sound like a solid plan.
I'll keep you all alive for as long as I can.
Yeah, it seems like the best idea. If we don't bother it, maybe it won't bother us.
For all we know, it could be the soul of a tormented child.
That's very possible.
I doubt it's that.
And I don't like children. Too whiny.
Excuse me. Oh yeah. On a quick sort of side tangent. Over the last couple of days, as you've been making your way to the Viridian Weald, Rin has what's I'm looking for? Rin has disclosed to you, if you will, the methods of using her soul crystal to create what is called a spirit weapon. Spirit weapons are unique items. They're not part of Pathfinder. That's something I came up with. But basically, and I kind of mentioned it a bit in like the RP, but you essentially fashion a a weapon in which a spirit can inhabit in some way. In this particular case, especially, you fashion a weapon in which her soul gem can be applied, and then you essentially attune, in your daily preparations, you attune yourself to her spirit, and then attune the weapon in accordance with what you want the weapon to do. Like, essentially, at the beginning of every day, you would be able to choose, like, fire, frost, acid, etc. And it would basically give you, like, another, like, damaging, a like, secondary, like, damaging type for the weapon. But it's not something you can change regularly. It's something you can change, during your daily preparations. Because
Gotcha.
unlike D&D, where you attune to a thing and then you're just attuned to it, in here you actually have to attune to all of your magic stuff every single day during your daily preparations. But you can attune to like 10 different things, so instead of only 3.
But only 3, yeah.
But yeah, basically, when you attune to the item, you choose for that day, what kind of energy type you want the weapon to use. And then from there, until the end of the day, it will deal that type of energy just natively as just a thing, So you could be like, fire, and then it deals 1d6 fire damage every time you swing it. So, she does tell you that there is more to it than simply attuning to an element and then using that. But in order to access that kind of stuff, you need to be more knowledgeable about magic. It's not something that your characters would be able to do at your current level. So.
Oh yeah, since we're in the Weald now, and I assume the forest is probably somewhat darkish.
Yeah.
It's pretty thick.
Right.
Kona's going to go ahead and light her lantern.
Okay.
It also is helpful in the fact that if there are any more spirits around, if they come within 60 feet, we'll see them.
Right. Indeed.
Even if they are trying to hide.
Well, I can tell you that as you wander past the strange creature, it makes no move towards you, but it makes no move to move away. It just kind of watches as you pass by. So.
Just don't make eye contact.
I can't look away. It's too pretty. It's drawing me in. I want to touch it.
Do not touch it.
So you travel a ways. I can tell you that Kona's lantern is going to be like pinging left and right. Because this forest is just full of spirits everywhere. Some of them are, you walk by a tree and you're like, oh, like it's a tree, but like there's a spirit that's in the tree,
So it's trying to talk to us? So it's like trying to talk to us like, hello, I am Mahogany. I've been around for 3,000 years. Would you like to hear a tale?
I love the creepy visual effect imagery of that too, because it's only while it's within the 60 feet of light. So it'd be
Right.
like you go past the tree, and then suddenly the tree becomes like all woobly and weird, and it's doing
Woobly,
things, and then it
right.
passes out of the light and it's just a tree again.
Yeah. And it's not just like trees either. It's like here's a little shrubbery somewhere, and then all of a sudden, whoa, and like here's a rock that's just sitting in the middle of the road, and then you realize that you might want to go around it because it gets all funky, and yeah, you very quickly realize that there are spirits everywhere in this forest. Like they are a regular thing that you pass by. None of them seem directly hostile, none of them have attacked you along the way.
Kona is actually deeply fascinated by the concentration of spirits.
Right. But it
This
definitely...
is her bread and butter, and she's fascinated. Like,
yeah.
So petty.
It definitely sets off like, wow, I didn't expect this much, So...
Excuse me.
But yeah, you travel for a ways until you find that it is growing dark, and you find yourself in need of, setting up a camp. Before you can, but when your group stops to consider setting up, some kind of camp, and thanks to Kona's lantern, you kind of like get a little more understanding why this happens. But like some of the ground kind of shifts, almost like creating like a makeshift little like camp for you. And with Kona's lantern, you can kind of see spirits like moving around and manipulating the land and things.
I'm not sure if this is friendly or creepy.
Right? I can definitely understand that.
I am simultaneously appreciative and vaguely uncomfortable.
I can definitely see why that would both be like, hey, cool, but also,
Yeah.
It's like the forest is telling us it's time to sleep. Little concerned.
Right.
Like, is the
I'm
forest
gonna
just going to jump out at
yeah.
us and kill us in the middle of the night?
Cal is gonna sleep with his rifle underneath his pillow.
This sounds like a good plan.
This is like the neighbor that brings you a housewarming gift and then stands 3 inches from you.
Right?
Do you like it?
Absolutely.
Do you like it?
Absolutely. I understand that completely, dude. So. And they're like, not only are they standing like 3 inches away from you, but they're like watching, and like you can
watching
clearly
your
see
enjoyment.
that they're like, do they like it? Is it helpful to them?
Hey, while we're on the subject of stuff we like, do you want to come to my third cousin's once removed bar mitzvah?
Right.
No, Kona's just going to say fuck it. She's going to look around as they're working on the area. She looks for a good spot to put down her travel cloak and transform it into a tent.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's see. All right. Well, you all set up camp for lack of better term. With some help from seemingly from the forest. All of you are, getting ready to lie down and rest. I assume somebody is, you're taking, turns, watching, guarding. Who would be the first person to take watch?
Cal. That is, if that's all right with everybody.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
As a helping thing to the people who are keeping watch, Kona's gonna hang her lantern on the outside of her tent, just like on the little front. That little front out. The part of the top of the tent sticks out slightly.
Right.
She just hangs her lantern there so it provides light for the camp and continues to have its revealing effect.
Yes. Continue showing you the spirits.
I don't think I have to be conscious for the lantern to be active, but let me double check that.
Alrighty. Well, while...
Oh, no, it says I have to be holding it. Okay.
Have to actually be holding on to it. Okay.
Yeah, the magic only works while I'm holding it.
Ah, so you can't even hang it because then it would
goodness.
stop working. So, okay.
What does it... I assume holding counts as like it has to be in your hand.
Yeah, that's what I would assume.
Okay.
So...
But
That's
it doesn't
why,
say
like-
she has to be conscious, though, interestingly. So could she lay down with the lantern in her hand and just have it keep going?
I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't work.
Does it have the concentrate action?
Let me check.
Because it would just be listed in the traits.
Turning it on or off has the concentrate trait. But that's it. Only turning it on or off or using its abilities.
Let's
Like,
see.
intensify is concentrate and turning it on or off is concentrate. And that's it, as far as I know.
If it doesn't say on the thing that you need to be concentrating for it, I'd argue you don't need to be concentrating for it.
Right.
Yeah, it says you can light or
And
extinguish
thus-
your lantern as a free action when she's turned with nothing but a thought, which has the concentrate trait. But that's it. Yeah, it doesn't say you have to do anything once it is lit.
Let's see. Lantern. Light or extinguish your lantern is a free action once each turn with nothing but a thought, which has a concentrate trait. There's no secrets.
Oh, here it is. The lantern's light has the evocation, light, and magical traits, not the concentrate trait.
Yeah.
Then I say it's pretty definitive.
Magical light tends to reveal the unseen. Do.
So Kona's just gonna sleep with like one arm hanging out of her tent.
Well,
So
since
the
it
lantern's
doesn't
just
have
laying on the
shadows.
ground.
Well, intensify is concentrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I
intensify.
have to concentrate to intensify.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, it looks like the concentrate. Like you have to concentrate to turn it on, concentrate to turn it off, concentrate to use other abilities. But once it's on, then it's just on and stays that way. So.
And
Then
the
not like
invisible and ethereal reveal is just passive. It says as long as it's on, it just happens.
Right. So.
So that's
Alright.
actually kind of cool. So she can just sleep with her arm outside the tent all night. Like, there you go.
Right.
She's gonna
It's
wake up with a
benefiting
cramp
everyone.
in the morning, that's for sure, though.
Noel sleep in weird positions.
Yeah.
Like this just sleeping in the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she'll just have her lantern like laying on the ground with in her hand outside the tent,
Right. Alrighty.
passed out.
All right. So I would assume, since I'm taking first watch, perception.
Sure.
And remember, you get a +1.
Oh, cool.
+1. Well.
Oh.
that's a
I
good-
doze
well, that's a-
off.
Well, that's a good omen.
This does not bode well for our future.
Cal.
That's a +17 too.
You are sitting and keeping watch. You're sitting there. You've got your barricade buster there with you. You're sitting by a smokeless magical fire. That has been provided by the forest, by the way. And you're just kind of sitting there, every once in a while you look up and kind of glance around a bit, just ensuring that there's nothing there. You happen to glance up from the fire and take a look around about, halfway through your guard duty, if you will. And you suddenly notice that sitting directly next to you, staring into the fire, is a purple pig. And when I say that he's sitting next to you staring into the fire, I mean he's sitting in a humanoid-like pose with his feet forward,
Is
sitting
this
up
who I
straight.
think it is?
He's got his two arms just kind of sitting off to the side. He's dressed in this brown vest, and he has what you can only describe as a miner's cap on his head. A small
This is a
candle sits
pig?
on the front and is flickering dimly. You don't know when he showed up. You didn't hear him show up, but all of a sudden he is sitting next to you, just staring into the fire.
Cal's going to probably freak out. He's probably going to first reaction is to reach out for his gun and is like, hell. Who? What? When? Why?
The pig, now realizing that you have become aware of its presence, looks up at you, gives a big grin, and says, "Hiya, how you doing?"
He looks at the pig, then he's automatically levied his rifle at the pig, and he looks down at the rifle, looks at the pig, and is like, I was fine, but now my heart rate is through the roof. Thanks for asking.
The pig responds with, "I didn't mean to scare you. It just so happens that we mining pigs. We're a little light on our feet."
Mining pigs?
Mining pigs. You never heard of us?
He's gonna. Let's see. What kind of check would that be if he can recall anything?
Nature check, I would say. 20. Not bad. So, it may have been a 20, but this is Pathfinder.
Right.
So
20s
DCs
are
can be a
usually
little
like
higher.
mid.
You definitely recall stories that you have heard of creatures that do mining. Often, the majority of the time, these creatures seem to get mixed in with kobolds a lot. People have a tendency to just assume that any like small creature that is mining in like the great depths is likely some kobold race of some kind. You do recall that there are in some stories they are like pig-nosed. But from what you can recall, people have always, the stories always end up blending in together with each other, and the term kobold is generally used, regardless of what kind of creature is, being described. You have heard of pig-nosed miners, but you've never heard the term mining pig before.
So Cal's just gonna like ponder for a moment. I was like, huh. Well, that certainly brings, no pun intended. It certainly brings a new meaning to the phrase "bringing home the bacon."
The mining pig looks at you with a slightly confused, facial expression. But afterwards, he just kind of shrugs. I should note, the vest that he's wearing is like, it sits right on, his skin, essentially. There's nothing to indicate any bulges or like pockets or anything like that. And yet he grabs the vest, pulls it open a little bit, reaches into his vest, and promptly pulls out a mug full of ale.
Wait, what? How did you... Am I drunk? Did that dumb
the
cat
mining
spike
pig-
my drink again?
The mining pig responds and says, I don't know, do you want to be drunk? I got more. I can share with you if you want.
Honestly, I probably could use a drink. Though I'm supposed to be keeping watch for my party. We're traveling to Kasan.
Kasan, eh? Yeah, I've heard of that place. I never been there myself, but a couple of my comrades, they go over to Kasan to sell some of the stuff that we mined.
If I see him, I guess I could tell him I ran into you. Your name? What's your name?
He responds by telling you a name that you have no idea how to pronounce.
I do apologize. Can you write that on paper? I don't know language very well. The only ones I can speak are Common, Iruxi, and Draconic.
The pig shrugs and says, it's not that big of a deal. You see, we mining pigs don't put too much stock into what you calls names. More like titles, let's say.
Gotcha. Like Lord, Lady, stuff like that.
Yeah, something like that. The name that I gave you, I suppose the term that you might use would be something like just miner, worker, something like that. So even if you told them my name, they probably wouldn't know it was just me.
Gotcha.
It's not that big a deal.
Well, you're certainly not the strangest thing I've come across while in this forest. There was a purple horse earlier, big red eyes.
The Primal. Yes.
Primal?
The Primal. You don't know about the Primal? What you doing in the Viridian Weald if you don't know what the Primal is?
It was the shortest way to Kazan.
Well, I suppose if he is going to Kazan, that makes sense. Really, Kazan's in the forest, so can't exactly get there without going through it. Still, I would think that somebody would warn you about the Primal.
I don't remember. I may have been warned. I just don't remember. You see, I'm a hunter by trade. I focus on the things I need to kill, where to put a bullet in it, and, getting paid.
I sees. That makes sense to me. Well, I'll tell you a few things about the Primal. That way you know what to watch for.
He's going to write this down. He's going to get out of
Now, the Primal, you see, he's not exactly what you would call a friendly folk. It's not that he's mean or anything. Well, I guess you could say he is. He's gotten quite a temper lately.
I'm glad I didn't shoot him then when I first saw him.
To put it simply, the Primal is he's the main spirit around here. I suppose you could think of it as, what's that word uses? King, emperor, something like that.
He is the Lord of the Forest.
Yes, that's a good way to view it. Now the Primal, you see, like I said, he didn't used to be that mean. He was looking out for the forest, just trying to keep things safe around here. Keep out them nasty creatures that live down by the other city.
I'm guessing something upset the natural balance, which turned him into a royal stick in the mud.
Ooh, bless you. Yeah. A few years ago, I don't know how long ago, before I was born, you see, we mining pigs. We only lives about 20 of years.
Hmm.
And I'm still a young one. I'm only 4 years old. But he was like this ever since I was born. But according to the stories that some of the other pigs tell me, the Primal, he wasn't such a bad guy. He used to be real nice. Then one day, some nasty things happened. You know, we mining pigs, we don't exactly keep up with everything, so we don't know exactly what happened, per se. Just that one day he got a little upset for some reason, and then all of a sudden, some of the other spirits around here started crying. And then all of a sudden, there he goes. He turning from blue to purple. And he been like that ever since.
Interesting. I don't suppose there's a way we could potentially help fix what's happened?
I mean,
Because wherever we
maybe,
go,
but
we
I don't
have a
know.
tendency to...
Say again?
Yeah, wherever we go, we have a tendency to try to help with
I
whatever's
mean,
wrong.
I wouldn't be opposed to yous helping. I just can't tell yous what exactly is wrong. So I can't really tell yous what to do to help. Some of them people down in Kassam might know. If they don't know, then maybe over by that other city that's in this forest. The real nasty one over there. Unfortunately, that's about all I know about. That's about all I really know. As long as you don't anger the Primal, you should be fine. But unfortunately, he's got a short temper nowadays.
I will make sure to pass that along.
You see the mining pig take a big swig out of his mug. In fact, it like in one big gulp, he just kind of gulps the whole mug down, and then just kind of puts it back into his vest. And again, when he puts it away, like, there's no indication that he ever had it. You know, there's no bulges to show the mug or anything, you know, as part of his vest.
Cal's gonna pipe up, and I was like, so is that, like, a vest of holding or something?
He says, I'm not quite sure. It's got pockets. I knows that much. I don't know quite how it works, but it's got pockets.
Huh. Interesting.
He actually grabs the vest and, like, you know, opens it and kind of shows you, like, the inside, and you can see, like, 3 very small, like, super tiny, like pockets. Definitely wouldn't be able to hold anything in them, and yet clearly that must be where the mug has gone.
Is there any chance, like, I can get me one of those? It'd be... Because I have to carry around a boatload of ammunition. And having that, I would assume, or hope, that would help with my, carrying capacity.
Right. I mean, are you asking him?
Sure, like,
Like in
is there
character?
a way I can get one of those for my ammunition, basically?
Right. The mining pig responds and says, well, I mean, this is standard mining pig garb.
Built by the architect.
You know, stores all our tools, all the things that we mine up to sell. You might be able to get a job with the miners, but I don't know. They're a little, how you say, they don't like other races, you know?
Oh, xenophobic.
So, everybody on staff is a mining pig, so I don't know if you'd be able to get a job. You could ask, but I don't know.
I see.
And if you're headed to Kasan, you're not going to go anywhere near where our mines are anyways. You'd have to make a real big detour. And I don't know, that might make the Primal a little upset.
I see.
You have a sudden sense of foreboding, and the mining pig suddenly speaks up and says, "Speaking of the Primal,"
Oh, fuck.
he points behind you, and as you turn around, you see the Primal there for a moment, his red eyes glowing in the darkness. And just as you lock eyes with him, he vanishes.
That's not foreboding at all.
Seems like he's keeping watch of your peoples.
We'll try not to make a mess of the place, if that's what he's worried about.
He probably just mostly concerned because you're new. Hasn't seen you here before. If you don't cause trouble, he'll probably leave you alone in a week or so, I'd say.
A week? Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how long we'll be staying, but good to know.
The pig reaches into his vest, this time the right side instead of the left side where he got his mug. He pulls out a giant pocket watch. And I mean, like, it's half the size of his body, this pocket watch. But he pulls out this giant, like, silver pocket watch. And he looks at it and he goes, "Oh, bye. Break time's over. I gotta get going. Been nice meeting you."
Nice meeting you too, I guess. See you around, maybe?
The mining pig hops up onto his, legs, his two back legs, or however you want to view it. Walking bipedally, essentially. He gives you a wave, and then he marches off back into the forest whence he came.
Cal is just gonna stare off and is like, they're not gonna believe me at all.
They might. The rest of the night passes peacefully. Nothing else happens. And eventually the sun begins to, just barely break through the leaves of the trees, signifying that it is now morning.
Kona just yawns and stretches and is like slowly crawling out of her tent. Like, it's good.
Sounds like you slept well.
Yeah,
Cal
pretty
says
good.
Kona.
Anything exciting happen?
You could say that.
Oh?
I was keeping watch, and all of a sudden, I turned my head, and there, sitting right next to me, was a mining pig.
Mining pig.
A mining pig.
It's the pig, and he had a vest, and he pulled a giant mug of ale out of said vest and started drinking. And he told me about the horse,
Oh,
among
that's
other
useful.
things.
What did
Yeah,
he tell you about the horse?
it's a primal.
Primal.
Yeah, it's watching us. Just so you know, like, since we're new here, it was normally blue, but something happened and made it turn purple. So now it's got an anger. Now it's pissed off and not taking its anger management classes.
Would
think I
Kona
know
know
what's
the
happened.
significance of something changing from blue to purple magically?
You could make an esoteric lore roll on that.
Is it specifically a creature, or would that be like a change in magic?
Yeah, it would definitely be like a change in magic.
So I'd probably have to roll occultism for that. Because I
Occultism?
can only roll because esoteric lore is only creatures, haunts, and curses.
Got it. Okay.
Unless this is a curse.
I mean, it could be classified as that, I suppose. Yeah.
All right. Well, if this is something that could be a curse, I'll take that. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could still attempt an occultism check if you want.
Yeah, I think I'll do that too. Just to like think about changing from arcane to occult. Like, what does that mean?
Right. That's a much better roll.
Yeah, it has a much better idea of the magical side of it.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I mean, as far as something going from arcane to occult, that would generally be some kind of curse or some kind of corruption. There's a lot of like spells, for instance. Like, you could look at a fireball that's cast from arcane and see. Well, I don't know if fireballs are available for occult, but whatever. We'll use it anyway. Like, if you were to detect magic on a fireball and it was being cast from arcane, it would be blue. But if it was being cast from occult, it would be like purple when you view it through the detect magic. So there definitely is, like, things can be, arcane or occult or primal or divine and still be the same magic, if you will. But the idea of something starting out arcane and transforming into a cult generally means there's some underlying corruption, some major factor of, I don't want to keep saying the word corruption, but
Something is forcefully altering the magic.
yes, that seems like a better way of putting it than what I'm trying to think of. So,
It's taking it out of what it should normally be and making it something else.
right.
It's an unwanted chemical reaction.
This seems like kind of a square peg round hole situation.
Right. Here's at least some good synonyms from the thesaurus, which are decay, defilement, distortion, infection.
Distortion?
Well,
Distortion world? Giratina?
what have we consistently seen throughout the lands around here?
Raise?
A certain demon lord has decided to fuck with y'all. So now you're unfucking this region. I think with what we've encountered so far, that it's gonna be some sort of cult worshipping either an eldritch abomination or some sort of... Because last city and the city before that was both cult.
What is up with cults these days?
Well,
They're popping up like flies.
well, whenever I work on you all, patching you up, each time we go through and save a city, a little bit of those brands of yours disappear.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
whoever is behind that is behind the cults. And you're just unfucking the situation.
Well, Kona is getting an idea. So her lantern already reveals all the spirits within the radius of light.
Right.
Anything ethereal or invisible, basically. So now I'm having the idea, what if she casts detect magic and starts examining the forest and whatever spirits she can see? She's looking for inconsistencies.
Okay.
Technically the horse is an inconsistency, right?
Yes.
It's not supposed to be like that.
It's not supposed to be purple, for sure.
Yeah, so that's what she's looking for. What's out of whack?
All right. Let's see. I can definitely work with that. I'm just...
And does it have a pattern? That's the other question.
Right. I was looking to see if I could find something related to the mining pig that you encountered, because it's something that I took as an idea from something else. So I'm kind of trying to see if I can find. I'm not entirely sure. Hang on. I did find what I'm looking for, but I'm not entirely sure how visible this is going to be for all of you. Because it occurs in a nighttime scene, so the scene is a little on the dark side. But
Dark side of the moon.
I will show this image to all of you, and I'll pop it up on the stream for just a moment as well.
Of course, only Kona would see the detect magic, but she'll try to relate anything she sees as best she can.
Right. And the mining pig that you encountered was purple, but this like image of the pig is blue. But there's kind of a rough idea of, you know, what it looked like, what you were encountering. It's in, if you haven't seen it, it's in the Sunday chat. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a pig.
It looks like an old man.
So.
And he was 4.
Yes, he was 4. Well, like I said, it's a rough idea. You know, it's not exactly what he looks like, but...
To be honest,
yeah.
I was like picturing like something more akin to like Winnie the Pooh, but as a pig.
Right. I mean, the way I was trying to describe it was something as like an actual just pig that's bipedal, you know, and like instead of the front, you know, hooves or whatever it is that pigs have, like he has hands. But it's supposed to just be basically a pig that's purple and is wearing a vest and a mining hat. So, but I can't art, but I, you know, I can spend a few moments looking through the Quest for Glory 3 playthrough that I did to try and kind of see what I can find in that. So, there's a lot of things that I like to reference from Quest for Glory because it's one of my favorite like game series. I used to play that crap like all the time as a kid. So we had all of the Quest for Glory games, and we had so much fun playing them. Or I did at least. So I don't know about the rest of the family. It was mostly me and my brother that enjoyed them the most. But like they were to us what like Ocarina of Time and some of them are to like a lot of other people. Like they were our like we grew up on this games, you know. So
Gotcha.
the Quest for Glory series has a very, very special place in my heart, in my mind, in my, you know, subconscious. So I realize also that Quest for Glory is also on its own referential. When I reference the Vorpal Rabbit, I'm referencing Quest for Glory 4. But that is a reference to Monty Python, which I didn't know until like years later.
Yeah, the bunny and the holy hand grenade.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. But that's actually, it's a regular enemy in Quest for Glory 4, the Vorpal Rabbit. So, but yeah, if you know, if it's weird, then it's probably a reference, probably to Quest for Glory in some way. Might not be, because there are some things. But, like, if it's weird, then I probably got it from, like, Quest for Glory, because Quest for Glory is full. Like, Quest for Glory is basically Weird the video game. So, with a little bit of adventure and a little bit of, like the story itself is always pretty straight and narrow. But it's the in-between story bits where you get, like, Earth Pigs, or... there's one part in, I think, the second Quest for Glory, where you can, like, be walking around in the city and you just have these, like, weird creatures, like, walk past you. As it's like, oh, the circus is in town. So, The whole series is like that. If it's not part of the main story, if it's if it's an in between moment or something like that, they go full ham on it, and it's great. So I wish I had that kind of like sense of humor to be able to create wacky stuff like that. I always love that. So
The pig thing definitely caught me off guard. I will say that.
Pretty great.
yeah,
We've encountered one before.
I was gonna say.
Yep.
Before you joined, I think either the session before or the session before that. Like the session before you joined or the session before, 2 sessions before, however you want to word it. I think I had thrown one of the mining pigs at them.
So you don't think I'm crazy?
So they have encountered one, yes.
Thank God. I thought you were gonna
No, I still think you're crazy.
It's true. Skarkon would probably think he's crazy because Skarkon probably has not encountered. Because Skarkon wasn't there for the last campaign.
I think only Dawn encountered the.
Was it Tika who?
No,
was
that
there?
was Aspen's sister, whose name I'm forgetting right now.
Oh, Skara.
Scar?
Skova.
Skova.
Skova, yeah.
Yeah, that was Skova. She was the one who encountered the mining pig.
Alrighty. So yeah, I guess Don would be the only person from the original group that encountered the pig. So, so Don might not think you're crazy.
So,
Well, Kona didn't even question it. She's just used to this weird shit.
Right.
you don't need to act along for your whatever you spiked his drink with to, be funny.
Telling you, it was this purple pig and a vest. He could pull shit out bigger than himself out of his vest. He pulled out a full tankard of beer or whatever. Then he had this giant pocket watch, half his size.
Yeah, those guys are kind of crazy.
So,
See,
can
He
Kona
knows.
make a check to see if she knows what a mining pig is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably what?
Let's see if
Nature?
we can settle this, considering this is a creature.
Yes.
So,
I would assume a nature check, probably. Or esoteric lore.
esoteric lore, yeah.
Okay. 34. Very nice.
Is this an actual thing?
So, mining pigs are rare. As I mentioned, because they're rare, that people tend to confuse them with kobolds. It was a pig-nosed kobold, But mining pigs are a thing. They usually show up in places where there is large deposits of metals and gems and things like that. If they're not being mined by the Scorians, which are akin to Gorons. But if those deposits aren't being mined by the Scorians, they're usually being mined by mining pigs.
Yeah, totally a thing.
So, mining pigs, however, despite the fact that their entire life is to mine, they have no actual concept of the worth of the things that they are mining. So, which
So
is
he
really
wouldn't-
interesting.
I had the urge to ask him. So you could get me some adamantium if you could, right? But he would Like adamantium. What's that?
Well, I mean, they know what
Or
they're
not.
mining, but
But
they don't
you-
know the worth, you know? You could convince a mining pig to trade, like, 4 bread for, like, an adamantine ingot, you know? Because they have no concept
damn.
of worth.
I should have been able to do that. I should have like
So,
I could
Well,
have been rich.
I suppose it wouldn't be ingot, it would be ore, because they don't...
They don't
They
smith it.
mine, you know? They're not dwarves. They don't know how to smelt, you know? They just know other races like these weird things that we dig up, and so we give them those weird things, and then they give us stuff to live. And thus we keep living. So,
Cal's going to make a mental note to ask a mining pig to trade him some
trade him ore,
adamantium ore.
adamantine ore. Yeah.
One thing you have to understand about a lot of magical creatures is there's no end then. They do a thing because they're supposed to do the thing.
Right. Very true. Very true.
Doing the thing is their reason for doing the thing.
That's a very good way of putting it, actually.
So strange.
Yeah, they do the thing because that's what they do, is they do the thing. So, alright, so let's see. Kona was using her lantern, to, like, detect magic and stuff like that, right?
Well, she's doing detect magic on top of her lantern.
On
like,
top, right,
That's
yeah.
that's just passively revealing spirits and stuff.
Right.
She's doing
okay.
detect magic to look at everything's auras and look for inconsistencies.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, that, I mean, that is what I was, like, thinking of. It just was perhaps not the way, not the exact way that it worked. But yeah, that,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So, alright.
You got the idea.
As long, you know, so what I can tell you is, as you're traveling, you are keeping an eye out around you for, you know, possible distinctions, you know, whether you're detecting primal or arcane or so on, you know, you're keeping an eye on all of that. And for the most part, the majority of the spirits do seem to be primal in nature, because they are elemental spirits. That they are spirits that have taken on elements as their nature, so that they become primal in nature, whether that was how they started or not. And that is the norm when you, like, search out there. You know, the majority of the spirits that you see have this cool green, you know, primal glow to them.
So at least it's not like a common thing. It's not just everywhere.
Right.
So she'd be looking for, like, a rare exceptions then.
Right. And you do notice a few times where either some of the spirits seem to have, like, lost some of the green to them and are, like, starting to shift into the purple, or you find spirits that are, like, mostly purple. Aside from the primal, you haven't seen any spirits that are purely occult yet. There's always still a bit of primal, you know, nature elemental essence. So it seems like whatever is infecting them, if you will, is, it's not an poof, you're immediately, you know, occult. Poof, you're immediately occult. It's a slow, and you what if you spend any time looking at any of the like mixed spirits,
Oh yeah, definitely.
you can't like watch as it like progresses. It's clearly a very slow process as the occult is like taking over a
Now,
long period of time.
I have a question on behalf of Kat.
Okay?
As we're walking closer to the city of Kasan over the day, or days, however long it takes, for this batch of journey,
Right.
are the spirits becoming more and more
Infected?
cursed?
Infected.
That's a really good question.
That's a really good question. And the answer to that is shockingly no. There are some spirits that are more infected, but your relation to Kasan doesn't seem to be the cause of like this one is more infected than that one. It almost seems random
Okay.
and like, spread out. You'll go through, an hour's worth of walk, and Kona will see everything is primal, and then just mixed in with one of those spirits somewhere in that hour, you'll suddenly notice like this one's a little more occult, or that one is more occult than it is primal now, but not as much as the other one. And the amount of corruption is never the same, and it's never like you never get a sense that you're getting closer to whatever source is corrupting.
So it just continues to be a random distribution.
Yes, it really seems like it's a really random distribution. So
Question.
okay.
Since did we agree that the forest would technically be considered a haunt?
Yeah, I think we determined
Okay.
that it would be considered a haunt. So
Then I'd like to study it as an entity,
okay.
and Kona's gonna like lower her lantern to the forest floor and like intensify her lantern into the forest itself. And can I do nature to like try and see if the forest itself is corrupted? Like, is it corrupted? Is it generating the corruption? Like,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you can
he's trying to deep prod into the forest itself.
into the forest itself. Makes sense. So yeah, if you wanna do that, you definitely can. So
All right, so I'll get a +2 status on this.
34.
34. Yeah.
That's funny.
So her lantern starts emitting pulses as she intensifies it into the ground, and it's just like scanning the trees and the earth.
Okay. Yeah.
The very air around them.
The air is kind of like going, giving this weird effect.
So there are tendrils. You can see long, wispy tendrils that seem to spread out throughout the forest.
Everyone in the party would be able to see this, by the way, because her
Okay.
lantern is visibly revealing it.
Cool.
So you're just seeing these pulse waves like showing up these whatever they are.
Yeah, these long, wispy like tendrils. These tendrils go out to the different spirits that are corrupted. But you can't really get a solid view of like a source because they're all like interweaving and like mixing together. You could like follow a tendril back, and then you end up at this like conjunction of like several tendrils, but then they clearly like connect to another large conjunction. And
this
so
is
you
definitely
can't
an
really
infection.
get a direct sense of where the center is, where the tendrils themselves are coming from. But every single one of the spirits that is corrupted is being touched by one of these little wispy tendrils. And you can see little, like, sprouting tendrils, if you will. Think of, like, when you look at the roots of a tree, like, you'll have, like, or the branches of a tree. Like, you'll have one branch that's, like, thick, but then, like, that branch then, like, spreads out into, like, many tiny ones. And, some of them are, like, really small because, like, they're still, starting to grow off of the tree and whatnot.
So
And
you said
Now,
these things
Mona,
form like little nodes, right?
yeah, they form like little. I would almost say knots.
They form knots.
Like
Okay.
balls of yarn almost, if you will. They're weird little misshapen like knots of like just tendrils that are interweaving back and forth and over top of each other, and then from there, like either spreading, you're not sure if they're spreading outward or if they're like growing outward and like connecting to each other and then forming. There's no direction to these tendrils. They're just kind of there, wispy, like weird purpley tendrils.
Man,
And
this
some
shit
of,
is
like I said, some
everywhere.
of them are like there's. It's clear that they're like starting to like spread out from like, there's a tendril that goes from like a knot to a spirit, and then like there's a couple of little like tendrils that are starting to grow out and move towards spirits that haven't been corrupted.
hey,
Like if
Coda,
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
do you have a way to destroy those?
Well, I could try something.
Kind of looks like
So-
this.
So Kona has a scroll of Dispel Magic. She's gonna try and use it on one of the knots.
Okay.
How many? Wait, hold on a second. How many of those scrolls does she have?
Just one.
Leica just knows to spell magic.
I hope this little
And-
like drawing kind of gives a better idea of what I'm trying to describe.
Well, if you can do Dispel Magic, go for it. I'll keep revealing the knots.
Alrighty.
Alright.
Goodness, dispel magic. I never could figure out how the frick this thing even worked. When you cast a spell, you attempt a counteract check against the target.
Well, first and foremost, let's run a detect magic.
Right.
Because that's just a cantrip.
Right. You would probably need to detect magic to be able to like figure out where it is first, and then from there you can dispel. Let's see.
Isn't Kona revealing where they are?
Yeah, Kona's lantern is showing all the knots and tendrils.
Right. I forgot.
Alright.
Let's see. GM can calculate Counteract check is your spellcast. So for the counteract check, is your spellcasting ability modifier plus your spellcasting proficiency bonus, plus any bonuses or penalties that specifically apply to counteract checks. What you can counteract depends on the result and the target's level. If an effect is a spell, the level is the counteract level. Otherwise, half its level and round up to determine its counteract level. Like, I don't fully get what any. More than one.
What I think it's saying is you choose a DC,
Right.
depending on like how strong the magic is, and Leica rolls a count like a check against it using spellcasting modifier and proficiency,
Okay.
like a normal DC,
Right.
like it's a counterspell.
Right. Okay. I think I get that. So, all right. So then I guess. So I got, yeah, so it would just, so Leica would need to roll, well, I guess you probably just hit the counteract button. Okay. So D20 plus 17, you get a 31. DC is the affliction stat block. It's cast DC. Target effects level. Okay. This level is up to creature. Okay, okay. I think I understand that. Let me.
Say like depending on if it's a leveled spell.
Let me see. Give me 1 sec. So then. Then its DC is based off of the level. Okay. And then its DC is so more than one level higher. Okay, okay. I think I get that, if that's right. And then you rolled a 31. Which is lower than the spell. So so I think that would just count as a failure. If I'm understanding correctly. Which is what I'm a little confused on, because failure means you counteract the target if its counteract level is lower than your effect's counter level. But what? So what would your effect counteract level be? Counteract the target. Oh, they changed it. No, they didn't. Yes, they did.
Counteract the target if its counteract rank is
two.
less than 2.
Yeah, they did change that. I don't know. Well, yeah, I don't know if they changed it in the remaster. Because I'm looking at Archives of Nethys, right? And the wording is different. I don't know if they changed it necessarily or if they like reworded it to try and make it more clear. You can also calculate DC based off the thing. Counteract target if its counteract rank is less than 2. There's 3 or more. Counteract if its counteract rank is 5 or less. I don't know what counteract rank. I don't know what the target's counteract rank is. Is that half the level? I kind of wish it was just you either succeed or you fail. I'm gonna call it a fail just because I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to find, so. Oops. I think first off, I think the DC is higher because I think the DC is 36.
Sounds about right. Depending on, let's see, I'm looking this up.
But I don't know what the counteract rank is. Because this is all part of like the remaster, I think. This new thing here. Let me try opening the Player Core remaster. And
So in this case, it's so really it's in the case of, because you said the spell DC is 36, right?
Right.
Okay, in this case, yeah, it would fail.
Oh, they have the
that was done at a what's it?
The remaster has a whole new system. That's why.
Second, what was it? A second rank spell against what rank spell?
Let's see. I have 26. Some effects try to counteract spells, afflictions, conditions, etc. Add the relevant skill modifier, yada yada. GM can also calculate I'm looking directly at the remaster book. When you can what you can counteract depends on the check result and the target's counteract rank. If an effect is a spell, its rank is the counteract rank. Otherwise, half its level and round up to determine its rank. If an effect's level is unclear and it came from a creature, half and round up the creature's level. Okay. Got it. I get that now. So yeah, they completely changed the counteract thing. That's why looking at the archives of Nethys was not helping. Okay. So, reference for what an effect can counteract.
Be right back.
Typical level range corresponding to that rank. Okay. Got it. Got it. Oh, okay. And, okay. So, the counteract... Oh. Okay. Well, that's nice. Which I realized that. The counteract check actually shows like the ranks and stuff of spells that it can counteract to begin with. Here in Foundry, because it says like counteract the target if its counteract rank is less than 2 on a failure. Success if it's 3 or less, and then critical success if it's 5 or less. When you look at the actual...
And I'm back.
Welcome back. Looking at the actual entry, it has you calculating the thing. Okay, so basically what the counteract check that you made, if you look at the description, it tells you what counteract ranks you are currently able to counteract. On a failure, it has to be less than 2. On a success, it has to be 3 or less. And on a critical success, it has to be 5 or less. The counteract level that you're going for is an 8. So even on a critical success, you still wouldn't have been able to counteract it.
Okay, because it's an 8-level spell that's in effect.
Right.
Okay,
Damn.
gotcha. I mean, I could have her try again, but I'm not going to bother with that.
So
Because she can technically use the spell magic at a fifth level if she wants
level? Okay.
to. The whole arcane, because she has that ability that lets her add an extra signature spell.
Okay. Yeah,
But I don't. But it's a 36, so.
Yeah. Yeah, because even if you were to cast it at 5,
It would have to be a It would have to be a success, but that would have to beat it. But at that point, it would have to be either a crit or a 19.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say is, in order to beat it, you would have to get a critical success because it's a rank 8. So.
Right.
So. Okay. Well, I can say that after figuring this out, it is simpler in the remaster, so it's not as complex as it was, because the remaster just straight up gives you a table that says, here, these are what you have to get on to succeed and whatnot, so.
Oh, that's nice. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yep. Because this is, and I'll share it in I'll share this in the Sunday chat. This is the counteract table in the um the thing, the book, words. So yeah, if you cast a 5th level spell, on a failure you can counteract anything that's level 4. On a success you can counteract level 6. And on a critical success you can counteract level 8. So you would literally have to get a crit success in order to succeed at counteracting the spell effect, even upping it to a 5th level spell slot. So,
Fine.
You know, that makes me that actually makes me a little bit happy, because now you can't just counterspell a someone with a doing like a wish spell
right.
with a 1st level spell slot.
Right. Yeah. That's, I will admit that's always been my biggest complaint about counter spell / dispel magic in 5th edition. So
the strength of the caster now matters, and the strength
Yeah.
of the spell.
It's more of strength of the spell rather than strength of the caster.
Well, yeah, and the strength of the spell.
and the strength of the spell. Yeah. But the idea is that if big caster is casting big spell, level 1 mage is not going to be able to counter, and that's good.
I
So
would say this is the best of both worlds, because your skill matters and how powerful their spell is matters.
right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, also
I definitely like
how
it.
powerful you make your spell to be,
Right.
because the table isn't what it's what you can counterspell or counter with a certain leveled spell.
Right. Yep. It was a little confusing because, 10th level is the highest, but it has 11 and 13 listed there. 11, 12, and 13. So I was a little confused at first, but I realized that's just because technically it goes up that high, even though you can't cast 11, 12, and 13. The fact is that if they did exist,
counterspelling gods.
yeah, right. If those levels did exist, then if you're casting Dispel Magic at 8th level, if you critically succeed against the DC, then you would be able to, dispel an 11th level spell. So, but that's, so it was a little confusing just because I didn't fully because I was looking at the chart going, why is there 11, 12, and 13? But I get it. It's just the way that the math plays out, even if the spell slots don't go that high. So,
Well, we could also just fight God.
right. You can just fight gods, All right.
Tiamat's been a very bad dragon.
So, so this would tell you all that this magic, this eldritch, occult, whatever, it is very, very strong magic too. So,
Well, I guess we have to cut it at the source, huh?
mm-hmm.
Seems to be the case.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure out where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we have an idea of what we're looking for, though, Are the
Right.
knots getting more and more closer to the to Kasan?
No, they're not.
Okay. Are they getting bigger?
No, not as you get closer to
Okay.
Kazan.
Okay.
Seems to be a curse on the forest itself in general.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So, once you're, done taking the moment to look over all of this and kind of think it through. One of you, it doesn't really matter to me which one of you it is, but one of you does happen to glance over and notice the primal is watching you very closely. It has, again, it's not moving to attack, but it is within, I would say, 100 feet of you. Of whoever is the farthest from the center of your group, if that makes,
It's just standing there, menacingly.
yeah. It's standing there about 100 feet away, just kind of watching. You notice that, and I think I missed to kind of like give this, sense as I, before. Like normally it was like standing kind of sideways with its head turned towards you. In this particular moment, it's standing like straight on towards you. Like its hoofs are sitting up on like a little like raised rock, making it look a bit more imposing as it's kind of looking down at you this time.
Is it trying to intimidate us?
So,
Is it working?
I mean, if you want, you could make like a will save against an intimidation check to see if you're being intimidated.
Sure.
If you feel that your character is being intimidated, then I can make it an intimidation check, but it's not directly an intimidation skill check, so.
Gotcha.
Just let the foyer watch.
But it is standing there. It is standing there very clearly attempting to look imposing,
I don't feel imposed. Does it want a snack? Does it want a cracker? Is it hungry?
You do see it like shake its head, in the way of like, like animals will like shake their bodies to kind of like get water off and whatnot, right? That like not, shake their head back and forth like a human shake, saying no, but like that tilting left and right, the fur going all over the place kind of thing. And when it does that, you hear the faint sound of bells ringing. Almost like what you would think of for like sleigh bells or something ringing, just little tiny bells
Hmm.
kind of thing, not big bells, just little tiny bells,
Chimes.
Chimes. That's a good way of wording it. Chimes.
Yeah. Um. Hmm. What do you think we should do?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, and that I'm
I
asking
say,
that to the party.
Right.
I say we get to Kasan ASAP.
To Kasan.
Uh, and find out whatever's doing that, and kick its ass.
Probably another cult.
Yeah, because we have a lot of observations, but no solutions at current. So
Right.
Yeah. And
Definitely.
as much as I love the forest, as a wee little guy, I don't like him. So I'm ready to get to town as soon as possible. If we're gonna keep running into spirit stuff anyway, I need to get certain alchemical formulas.
Hmm. I don't even know if my bullets can do anything against these spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't enchanted
Rin.
weapons normally able
Oh,
to
wait.
deal with spirits?
I mean, oh, that is a good question. Since my barricade buster has been enchanted with like the striking and runes and whatnot, would it be able to do would it be able to do something against spirits?
It, I would think, because it's let's see, it's a +1, striking, crushing, cold iron. So
Yeah.
it is magical. So
Cool.
as a magical weapon, it should be able to deal damage.
I would hope so.
I know Pathfinder's a little different with how that works exactly.
I mean, I can make just about anything vulnerable to me. But I am working on a way to help the rest of the group with that. It's in the works. I'm researching.
Oh, weird. So, just to look, I did a search for Ghost on Archives of Nethys. And the way that ghost monsters work, in 5th edition, they would have no resistance to magical, but then they would like have resistance to non-magical. Ghosts in Pathfinder have resistance even to magical, but double resistance, that's the exact wording, by the way, versus non-magical.
Oh, dang.
Which means they take a quarter damage from non-magical attacks. That's
so
insane.
bullet do nothing.
So your
No,
bullets would do
Normal
something.
bullet would do nothing, but mine.
Your bullets would do something because they're being shot from a magical weapon. It's just they're going to do as much as basically anything else, which is half damage. So.
Once we get to town, I'm gonna spend a little bit of the party gold to get a what's it called? A alchemical recipe.
Alchemical
think it's called-
recipe. Okay.
For spirit bombs.
Okay.
Beard bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
They sound exactly what they are exactly what they sound like.
yeah. Well,
Kamehameha.
you have spent 2 days now in the forest. After all of your investigating, and seeing the primal, and I'm assuming you're like just walking away and moving on.
Yep.
You eventually come to a point where you take another rest for the night. So I've been kind of tracking it as 2 days per, or as 1 day per 2 squares, which means you've still got 2 more days of travel, because that would be here, and then that would be here, and then you would be at Kasan. So you have 2 more days worth of travel before you will reach Kasan. And considering that it is, in fact, midnight, I think that breaking right here at the end of the second day of travel is a good spot to break at. So,
I think so, yeah. Also, I have been reading through the new Player Core Pathfinder 2 Remaster
okay.
and looking up the rules for Akona's scroll casting because, man, this is fucking complicated.
Yeah,
Sorry if this has been like cooking my brain for like 20 minutes now.
right.
But, so the way her scroll casting works is she doesn't use the spell DC, she uses her DC.
Okay.
She replaces her personal upcasting ability with the spell's actual like level,
Ooh,
essential.
okay.
So I figured out that when she would cast Dispel Magic, her counteract rank, as it states here, if the effect came from a creature, which in her case the spell counts as coming from her instead
Right.
of being the spell itself, it would be half my level. So my counteract rank would be what, 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that took me so long to figure out. Like,
Right.
so I automatically cast Dispel Magic as essentially a quote-unquote 4th level spell.
Neat.
Ooh, nice.
Very nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Sorry if I was quiet while my brain was like gnawing on that fucking bone.
Right. Hey, the important part is you figured out something that's actually like super useful. And something for you to keep in mind for your character.
I'm actually gonna notate that on my character sheet so I remember. So
Right.
my current counteract rank
Is 4.
is 4 equals 4. And if I hit 10, wait, no, I'm 10th level, right?
We're 9th level still.
Or 9th
didn't
level.
level up
Okay,
yet.
we haven't gotten to 10th yet.
We haven't
Okay.
gotten to 10th yet.
So when I hit 10th, it'll become 5. Oh, that's really cool.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Yay, shit I didn't know was a good thing. And there it is. Okay.
Right. And, I mean, at 10th level, when you cast it at 5, you'll still have to crit success in order to counteract, but you would be able to attempt to counteract the occult whatever's that is going on. So
Well, it also depend on my roll, right?
right, yes, because
I
that's
think
why I
I'd
said
have
you have
like
to
a-
crit success.
I'd have to
That's-
get like, I think my bonus would be like a plus 20 or a plus 21 at that point.
Right.
That's actually nuts. You can just innately cast spells at the rate of a leveled caster.
As my scrolls, yeah.
Yeah,
When
the
I cast from a
scrolls.
scroll, it just goes off of me rather than the spell.
Right.
Whoa.
Because they're scrolls, so
But
they
that's
can technically go at a higher level. Plus also again, that's how the thaumaturg works, so they create the scrolls, so
Yep.
but
I
yeah.
guess it's like how uh, alchemists can bump up. Well,
Bump up the
yeah,
alchemy.
with the perpetual infusions,
Right.
it levels up at the same rate as uh cantrip, actually.
Right.
So it's beefy, but I bear in mind I only get like 1 first and 1 second scroll per day. And then at a higher level, I might be able to get 1/3 scroll, maybe, I think.
But can we buy spell scrolls for you to use?
Uh, yes, actually. Any scroll I cast would follow those rules.
Neat.
Okay, I guess I'm going to rush magical or magical crafting so I can.
Yeah, let me, Okay, yeah, you can activate scrolls of any magical tradition and use your Thaumaturge class DC instead of the spell's DC.
Hmm.
Choose which. When I cast a spell, I can cast it as an esoteric, and I can also choose what tradition I'm casting the spell under. So you could hand me like a divine scroll, and I could say, no, actually, it's arcane.
Neat.
That's cool.
But only if the spell appears on all the tradition lists. So like, if a spell is arcane and divine and occult, it can be inscribed in the scroll as one tradition. I could just say, no, it's a different one
Right.
when I cast it.
But you wouldn't be able to cast a divine only spell as a cult. It still has to be able to be
it's only
a
if it
cult.
appears in multiple tradition lists.
Right. So that's cool.
That's still pretty neat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So basically, she can break the rules for scrolls and spells, like somewhat heavily.
Yeah. But I mean, that is the point of thaumaturg, so it makes perfect sense, Oh yeah. Before we end, didn't somebody say they had a question for Rin? Or did that not matter? Because
Doesn't matter now.
Okay. Just making sure. I'm going to give you all 20 experience for the session, for your exploration and all that you've done.
Yay.
That puts us at 635 current.
Nice.
Also, I'm going to pin the counteract table because that just seems very useful to
That's really useful. Yeah.
to have on tap. And next week, oh yeah, we can talk about that. Like whether people are available next week since it's the 24th. We can talk about that after we end. Because I totally forgot, and so I need to find out about that too myself. With that, though, for those watching the podcast, we do hope that you've enjoyed. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe and check the playlist for any of the other episodes that you missed. I know it's going to be a while before this one actually goes up, but I'll say it in this episode anyway, just as a thing. I've been moving the episodes over to my main channel. They've been getting more views there as opposed to the podcast specific channel. So apologies that, we're recording this on the 17th and it's probably January by the time this one goes up. But, it is what it is. I'm trying to get like 2 a day, 2 a week, but these things are beefy because they're 4 hours long. This one's 3 hours, but they're like 4 hours long, so they're beefy, and they take like 6 hours to upload, and my internet absolutely tanks, and I can do nothing while they're uploading, so it's a slow process of uploading these. So, say it here, even though I know it's going to be like January before people hear that, me say that. But if you want to see these live, and not have to wait for, whenever it comes out on YouTube, you can come over twitch.tv/Serene Inc. And see it live, see it when it happens,
Yeah, watch it live,
So,
enjoy our shenanigans.
Yeah.
We'll do it live.
Well,
it
enjoy us stumbling through the
Right.
rules for half the session because we are still
We are
Learning.
still learning. We are still
Enjoy
new
us
to
sitting
this.
around with proverbial rule books, scratching our heads, going, "Okay, how does this work again?"
Right. And that's another good reason to come out and watch live, because if you are a Pathfinder player, if you play Pathfinder
come by and laugh
at us.
regularly, you can help us figure out these rules, and we would super appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
speak to us like we are tiny child.
You're a
right.
peasant.
Speak to me like I'm from the 15th century. And I don't know what Pythagoras theorem.
What's an iPhone again?
I think it's, if you're talking about the sum of two sides is, or the length of one side is equal to the sum of the other two sides. That's Pythagoras theorem, I believe.
Pythagorean.
Pythagorean, something like, it's something like that.
Yeah.
Python's theory.
So,
Yep.
Python's theory.
Python's theory.
If I can wrap myself around it, I can eat it.
I took a year of geometry, and, I had to learn all of those theorems and everything in geometry.
Yeah.
I don't remember, literally the only one that I remember, and I don't even remember it exactly. The main reason I remember it is because they say it in Wizard of Oz, when the Scarecrow gets his brain, he's like, the length of one side of an equilateral triangle is the sum of the other two sides, or some, but because of Wizard of Oz, because I grew up already hearing that many times, because my family loved Wizard of Oz as I grew up. I remember watching that, like many times. I don't even know how many times. But I grew up watching that movie, with Judy Garland. And so, like, when I saw it in my geometry workbook, I was like, hey, wait a minute. I know that one. It's the only one I remember. So, I think there's a theorem that's like, if two lines go, like, parallel, they'll never, like, touch or something.
Yeah.
But I don't remember any of that stuff. If it hadn't been for my teacher allowing me to open book, I would have utterly flopped geometry. So I could not get my head around geometry at all.
The thing I could
Um,
never understand was chemistry. I actually failed chemistry.
I actually had
I barely passed it. I
I
hate chemistry.
I was homeschooled, so my teacher was my mom. But I like to say that I taught my teacher chemistry because I was understanding stuff and like explaining it to my mom, and she's just like, "How do you understand this?" I'm like, "It's exactly what it says."
I
There-
fucking hate chemistry.
There was one field of science I got a perfect A+ in though.
Nice.
Earthspace.
Conceptual physics.
Ooh,
Chemistry is just more math.
it is. But I mean, I've always been good at like algebra. I've never been good at arithmetic, but I'm really good at like algebra. And chemistry is just more complex algebra, basically. And so
Yeah,
I
was
picked
never
it up
good
and
at-
was just
was
like,
never
oh, I
good at
get
advanced
this.
math either. At least I'm consistent.
I mean, I could probably. The most advanced science I got was like Earthspace 2.
Right.
Uh, but
I know I did biology. I know I did chemistry, and I know I did anatomy. I had 4 years of science. I don't know what the fourth one was. But I know that there was biology. I know that there was chemistry, and I think there was one after chemistry. But then I did anatomy in my 12th year, and I wasn't required to take it, but I chose to because I was thinking about doing like going to like the medical field, and 1 year of anatomy was enough to be like, I don't care about this. When one of your tests is a sheet of paper and it's a picture of a skeleton, and the only question on the test is name every bone, and that's literally the entire test is naming every single bone. I went, nope. I don't even know half of them. I can tell you the femur, the skull. Although, see, they wouldn't accept skull because there's like 5 bones that make up like your skull, so you had to name all of those. I'm like, nope, I'm good. I don't need to know all of this, thanks. I'm good on this. Needless to say, I did not go into the medical field. But yeah, that was my that was my that was my high school. So
I did have one friend from college who became a forensic pathologist.
ooh,
Ooh.
neato.
It's probably the most like scientific person I know, I guess.
Right, I get that. Well, this has been a long-winded outro. But it's been an outro nonetheless. We have somebody in chat saying, this is golden. I hope this goes in the VOD. And yes, viewer. Yes, it is.
Yay!
Yay!
So with that, I hope you enjoyed the ending there, especially, just like the viewers in the chat. And we'll see you all next time. If you're watching live, it might not be next week, but I will, of course, make sure to post something to when we know. So, but anyway, see you later.
See ya.
Comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm.
Yes,
yeah.
The buttons.
push all the buttons.
And if you hear singing, run.
True.